Welcome back to the show. If you are not familiar with the term mangia cake, you probably do not know somebody in an Italian family. My brother married a beautiful Italian woman. Lisa, if you're watching, love you. And they refer to my brother as a mangia cake. And here to tell us about a new storybook is writer and comedian Fabio Ricci. His book is called The Mangia Cake's Guide to an Italian Home. Welcome to the show, Fabio. Great to have you here. Let's talk about this, the inspiration. And actually, before we get to that, maybe you could just describe the meaning of a mangia cake.
First of all, thanks for having me.
A pleasure.
I think the simplest way to put it is just someone who's not Italian.
Right.
And that's the simplest way I'll put it.
And it's not necessarily a derogatory term, right? I guess it could be used as a derogatory term, but for the most part, it's not. It's kind of a gentle term, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the idea. What was the inspiration behind this storybook? And when we say storybook, we don't necessarily mean children's book, right?
Definitely not children's book. I guess I had an idea. I write a lot of jokes about my personal experiences growing up in an Italian household and things that I've just experienced from my life. And so I guess I have an ongoing note in my phone that basically is just premises for jokes from things that I've experienced, like at my nonna's house and things like that I couldn't really figure out how to turn into a full bit that I could bring to the stage.
Right.
So I started writing them down, just like one-liners or things like that. And one day I was looking at them and I thought it'd be interesting if I rekindled my love for drawing and illustration and turn this into something that could still make people laugh.
How would you describe growing up in an Italian household? Like, what are some of the things that we can find, as far as the content of the book?
Growing up in an Italian household is very loud. Yeah, I mean, it's things like bringing over like a store-bought tomato sauce is just it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Things like that. So just little things like that I figured would be funny for someone to read. I guess I treated the book, and the reason why I called it a guide is it's like a survival guide, kind of thing. So that was my idea.
I love it. And you decided to give back, right? You wanted to share the proceeds with an organization. Tell us about the foundation you decided to share and why you chose it.
Sure. So a portion of the proceeds from every book sale, they're going towards the Canadian Children's Art Foundation, which is a foundation that basically invests in programs and workshops and sometimes competitions for youth across the country to explore creativity while also highlighting the importance of creativity and its place in our society, basically. And the reason why I went with this foundation is because when I was a kid myself, I used to draw storybooks every single day. I'd come home from school. My parents would cut up little pieces of paper for me. So I put my book bag down and I'd start drawing and making just little stories, whatever stories came to my mind. And so I figured now that I'm doing this again as an adult, what's a way that I can inspire I hope to inspire other kids to kind of get in touch with their own creativity when I was their age.
Well, you're certainly creative. I was on your website, and I mean, I introduced you as a comedian writer, but you're a comedian, a writer, a director, a filmmaker. I mean, the list goes on and on. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into, entertainment. I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a videographer and director. I fell in love with storytelling and advertising, so that was what I studied, and I was fortunate enough to find a job in that field. And so I guess the acting and stand-up comedy portion comes from just wanted to entertain my family whenever they would be over. When I was a kid, just being an unstoppable ball of energy that hasn't dissipated in any sense. So that's kind of, I was like, how can I be a goof, but not, like kind of professional. So that prompted me to explore other ways to get in front of camera and get on stage and things like that. So.
Yeah, I think you and I grew up outside of the Italian household part of things, you know, wanting to entertain family and friends and get into the business and find a way to get, you know, to pretty much make a career out of being goofy. I'm right there with you. You have some of your content as well, right? Some of your stand-up content on your website.
Yeah, so I don't have any videos of my content, but I do from time to time post my live comedy dates on my website.
Excellent.
So if anyone's interested in coming to see me live, then that's where you can find that information.
And that's all at FabioDoesThings.com. Fabio, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Take care. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this.